Hi everybody, this is Alyce-Kay Ruckelshaus of Threshold of Hineni. Sorry you're going to hear me pull my chair in again because I wanted to make sure that the camera was working. Actually, let me just check again. Okay, yeah, I think it's going to work. Okay, because I'm only doing this once. So anyway, I've shown you choosing the fabric. This is part 3 of making this junk journal about Abraham to go along with our study this summer of Abraham. And I'm calling it Abraham, Man of Faith. You can call it anything you want. You can do any pictures you want, any fabric you want, or anything. If you really want a junk journal, but you don't feel like you're able to do it yourself, I am willing to put one together for you or cut out the pieces so that you can sew it. Either way, you're going to have to do all the writing in it and everything, but I will do that. You can contact me through the contact information down in the description box, and we can talk about what you want and come up with a price and everything. But I would encourage you to do this yourself if you're creative and if you like to do this kind of thing and you have the time and stuff. Okay, so this is how I decided to arrange this. And I would normally not glue this on right now, but I'm going to need to pick up some stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and glue it now so that I can show you some other things. And I just want to have this in place so that it's not going to move. So I'm just going to put just a tiny bit of glue under these things. I'm putting some glue under the Bible page where it's not going to show, and I'm putting it under this other page. I don't want to put a whole lot because I don't want the glue to glop it or anything. I'm just doing it to kind of tack it in place so that when I sew it, it's not going to move around. Okay, so I don't know if you can see exactly what I did. Hopefully you could. And I was going to have this page from the Bible on the other side, but the verses that I want are over here, the ones that I want to show. Oh dear, let's bring it up a little bit more. Okay, so this is from Romans 4, which to me is like what ties the story of Abraham together with the New Testament. Okay, so how can I do this without moving all this stuff? Okay, so I've got my other fabric, and I decided, you guys, I decided to use the wrong side of the fabric for the inside of the book. Won't that look cool? I really like that. Okay, so don't let me forget, that's what I'm doing. All right, so I'm going to sew. I do not know how this is going to work with recording, if it's going to shake and make it like really horrible and unpleasant. If it does, then just fast forward or turn down the sound or something, but I don't know how else to do this because I want to show you how I do it. Okay, so I'm using kind of a gold thread, I think you can see, and you can use whatever color you want, obviously. That's just what I happen to already have in my machine, and I thought it was a good choice. So I did that. I'm not sewing the front and the back together yet. I'm just sewing the pictures or the papers to the front of the cover. Okay, and I'm going to zigzag those. You could use a straight stitch if you want, and I might use a straight stitch for some of it because I don't think I want to cover up the words. I don't know, I'll figure out when I get there. So, and I do these as kind of like a shabby chic thing, so I don't worry about threads or anything. I don't cut my threads, I just let them hang out there. So here we go, and hopefully this isn't going to kill your ears, we'll see. But I'm going to zigzag the edges of all of this whole thing. Oops, I've got it on really slow here. Oh, I don't have it on zigzag. Stop. You know, because my machine listens to me, right? Oh, let's cut it. Okay. Sorry, I forgot to turn it to zigzag. That's what happens when you're talking and trying to do stuff at the same time. Okay, so we're going to go zigzag. We're not going to go too fast because I'm afraid it'll be too loud. Oh, that's not too loud, is it, guys? And I really don't know if it's shaking it or not. So I'm going around just everything. I'm going to come back and go around the rest of that page. Okay, and I want it to slow down some here because I'm going to turn the curve a little bit here. This to me is like the hardest part of the entire project. Okay, so don't get real worried or anything like that. It's this is just everything. It's not hard. And the thing with the junk journal, you guys, is it's a junk journal. So it doesn't have to be perfect, okay? You're actually wanting it to look like a human made it. And you're wanting it to look like it's kind of old and, you know, lots of mistakes, messy stitching and stuff. I don't even try to stitch straight when I'm stitching with a straight stitch. Okay, now I'm going to turn that. Okay. You know, what I'm just trying to do is just affix it to the fabric, and it doesn't matter if it's not straight. This is part of the reason why I love junk journals, because I don't have to be a perfectionist, because I'm not a perfectionist. Okay, let me just make sure that this is still running. Is it? Yes, it is. Good. Okay, and I think you might actually be able to see some of it. Okay, so what am I going to do here? I think I'm going to go up around the outside of the whole thing right now. So we're going to curve around this. I'm not exactly sure what you're seeing, if this is like super boring while I'm sewing this or what, but I'm sorry. But I did think it would be best to film this. Okay, stop, and I'm going to turn it. Okay, so I'm just sewing the papers on, and like I said, I'm not being like super perfectionist or anything, not even slightly perfectionist. You can go a little bit faster, I think. All right. My husband got me this machine when we got married, which was just a little bit over 4 years ago. I love it. I'm just now starting to learn how to use it. I didn't really get to use it when we first got married because I got really sick with Lyme, and so yeah, so I'm just now starting to get to know it, and I love it. I am in love with a sewing machine. Is that okay? All right, so here we go. We're gonna sew. This Bible page is really thin, so I'm trying to be kind of careful with that. Come on, you can go a little bit faster though. Come on. All right, there's no pedal with this. It's all done by buttons, and I'm not really used to that. Okay, and then it cuts the thread for me. Is that cool or what? Okay, so this is what we have so far, and then I need to sew in between, and I've kind of, yeah, it's not exactly even or straight, but that's okay. It's going to get a little munched, and that's all right. Okay, I think I'm going to go across the top of the title first now. I might use a straight stitch on the Bible part, on the rest of the Bible part, I'm not sure. Okay. Gosh, you guys, I hope this is not like totally boring. I hope that you're seeing something. Okay, so I sewed all the way around that, and I've sewn up around here and up around the outside of the Bible page. Now I'm going to sew down the Bible page here, and then I'm going to sew across here, and I'll be done. So it'll just be a few more seconds, probably not even a whole minute. And I'm doing it all in zigzag. I just decided right now that that's going to be the best, because I really want to make sure that it's going to hold everything okay. All right, because you know, the glue was just to basically hold it in place. I didn't put very much glue in there. Okay, and like I said too, you don't have to sew this. You can use fabric tack. Fabri-Tac is the name of the of the glue, not the zoo. Okay, so that's what it looks like. Oh, and I meant to put cheesecloth in under stuff. Well, I guess I'm not going to do that, right? And it's okay. It's cool. All right, so now I'm going to sew it onto the folder, and I'm going to sew the other piece on the other side at the same time. So let me check and make sure my camera is still running. Okay, and we're at like 9 minutes, so I think we're all right. Okay, so I'm going to, and I really should have ironed this first, but I didn't. That's me. I'm not a perfectionist at all. Okay, so I've got it folded this way. I want it to fold the way that the cover is going to go. If I didn't, it would be okay, because you would just, fold it by hand that way, and eventually it would crease, but we may as well start out that way, right? Okay, so I'm going to put just a little bit of glue. See, I've got it so that it's basically even all the way around. It's not perfect, That's okay. I don't want it to be perfect, okay? I'm going to just keep saying that. Okay, so I'm just going to close one part of it so that the other part stays in place. And I did not have this glue upside down, so I'm not sure how well it's going to come out. It's been out upside down for days, so hopefully it'll, oh yeah, it's coming out fine. Okay, again, I'm just putting down a little bit, and I'm kind of smoothing it out with the tip because I don't want it to be gloppy any place. All right, so I'm just gluing that in place right there. Blink. All right, and then I'm going to do the other side. Glue it in place too, just a little tiny bit of glue. Just enough to hold it in place so it doesn't move when I'm stitching. There we go. Okay, I want to make sure. Yep, everything's good. Okay, now I'm going to put it this way. I want to make sure that the edges are going to match up relatively well because I cut it out the other direction. Yeah, that's going to be, and I can always trim it. I think it's a little bit bigger than the other side, so I can always trim it. Okay, so the same thing again. Let me push this back to where it's going to be in the camera. Okay, so the same